A change of perspective. Daniel was a 36-year-old man who felt constantly burdened by the troubles in his life. No matter how hard he tried, he could never seem to escape his worries and sorrows. And this made him feel perpetually sad. One evening, while he was sitting in his modest living room, his longtime friend Matthew, who was 37 years old, paid him a visit. Matthew mentioned that a very wise monk named Brother Joshua, about 50 years old, was staying in a small town roughly 5 miles away. He encouraged Daniel to go and talk to Brother Joshua about his problems, suggesting that perhaps the monk's insight could bring him some peace. At first, Daniel hesitated. He wasn't sure if meeting a monk he didn't know could possibly help him. But after another difficult, sleepless night, he decided he had nothing to lose by at least trying. Early the next morning, Daniel made the short journey, riding an old bus and then walking the last mile to the simple place where Brother Joshua was staying. When Daniel arrived, he quietly knocked on the door of a humble lodging. A gentle voice invited him in. Stepping into the main room, Daniel noticed the soft light filtering through the small windows. The room was plain, with minimal furniture and simple wall hangings. In the center, Brother Joshua sat on a cushion, having just finished his morning meditation. The monk's posture was perfectly straight, and his calm presence seemed to fill the entire space. A peaceful smile spread across Brother Joshua's face as Daniel bowed respectfully and took a seat on a plain wooden stool. After a moment of silence, Daniel began. "Brother Joshua, my life has been full of sorrow. It feels like one problem after another. I rarely experience moments of happiness. My friend Matthew suggested I come see you. Could you please help me find a way to ease my troubles?" Patiently, Brother Joshua listened as Daniel listed his worries: financial struggles, arguments with family members, and the ever-present feeling of sadness weighing on his heart. Daniel finished by saying, "I just don't know what to do anymore. I can't seem to see beyond these problems. Please, can you give me a solution?" Brother Joshua took a slow, thoughtful breath and observed Daniel with compassionate eyes. Finally, he spoke in a gentle tone. "My friend, can you tell me how many red-colored items are in this room?" The unexpected question puzzled Daniel. He thought, "I came here seeking help with my problems, and he's asking me about colors?" But, wanting to be respectful, he glanced around. He noticed the red cushion in the corner, the apple in a small bowl on a side table, the border of a simple rug, and a pair of slippers near the doorway. Clearing his throat, Daniel answered, "There are quite a few red things. I see a red cushion, a red apple, a rug with red trim, and your slippers appear red as well. There might be more, but these are the ones I can spot right now." Brother Joshua smiled softly and nodded. "Good," he said. "Now, without looking around again, can you tell me how many blue-colored items are in this room?" Daniel's face grew even more perplexed. He replied, "I'm sorry, Brother Joshua, but I really can't say. When I was looking for red items, I was focusing only on what was red, so I didn't pay attention to anything else." Brother Joshua's smile widened as he explained, "That is precisely the answer to your question about life. What you seek is what you will find. When you looked for red, that color captured your entire focus. Even though there may be many blue items around, you couldn't see them because your mind was set on finding only red." He paused for a moment, allowing the meaning to settle in. Then he continued, "Life is similar, Daniel. It's a mix of both happiness and sorrow, but you've been focusing so intently on the sorrows that the moments of happiness go unnoticed. Happiness and sadness are like two sides of a coin. One helps define the other. Without happiness, how would you recognize sadness? And without sadness, how would you truly appreciate happiness?" Daniel sat quietly, absorbing the analogy. He had spent so much time fixating on his troubles that he realized he hadn't taken time to notice or value any of the good things in his life, however small those things might be. Brother Joshua then said, "It's not that your life is completely devoid of happiness. It's just that you're choosing to place all your attention on the difficulties. If you learn to shift your perspective and seek out the joys and blessings, you'll begin to see them. Even if they're as small as a kind word from a friend or a cool breeze on a hot summer day, they matter. When you look for happiness, you'll find it. Just as surely as when you look for sorrow, you'll see sorrow everywhere." He gave Daniel a compassionate look and continued, "Everyone faces sorrow and setbacks in life. But if you label your life as nothing but hardship, that's exactly how it will feel. On the other hand, if you genuinely try to see the happiness that does exist for you, it will expand and become more significant in your mind." Brother Joshua paused and looked around the room again, then added, "Remember that life is fleeting. Every minute, every second that passes will never come back. So why spend it mired in sadness and regret? Instead, strive to fill each moment with as much contentment and gratitude as you can manage, even when things aren't going perfectly." Daniel felt a gentle wave of relief washing over him as he listened. The monk's words seemed to illuminate a path he hadn't previously noticed. It wasn't that his problems magically vanished. Instead, he began to see that he had the power to decide where to direct his energy and attention. Before leaving, Daniel bowed again and thanked Brother Joshua. "I'm grateful for your guidance," he said. "I understand now that I need to train my mind to look for the blessings and joys, no matter how small. By doing so, I hope I can bring more light into my life." With the monk's words echoing in his mind, Daniel stepped outside. He felt the warmth of the morning sun on his face, a simple, pleasant sensation he realized he had taken for granted until now. On his walk back to the bus stop, he paused to admire bright flowers blooming alongside the road, noticing their vivid colors for the first time in a long while. A small but genuine smile formed on his lips. Reflecting on his journey home, Daniel realized that it wasn't just about positive thinking. It was about training his perception, just like he had been trained to look for red in the room. If he could train himself to notice the blue aspects, representing the happiness, comfort, and hope in his life, then, over time, those positive elements might shine brighter than the sorrows ever had. When Daniel arrived back in his own town, Matthew asked him how the meeting had gone. Daniel described Brother Joshua's lesson and how it had opened his eyes to the power of perspective. In that moment, Matthew could already see a subtle but definite change in Daniel's demeanor. He stood straighter, spoke with more warmth, and seemed less weighed down by despair. From that day forward, Daniel resolved to spend a few minutes every morning reminding himself to look for the good around him. Whether it was the taste of a fresh cup of coffee, a kind word from a neighbor, or a quiet walk after work. The problems didn't vanish overnight, but Daniel felt a new sense of control over how he reacted to them. Life, after all, is a blend of sorrow and happiness. By focusing on what uplifts our hearts rather than on what drags us down, we can learn to see beauty in the midst of challenges. And with that understanding, Daniel found the first real spark of hope he had felt in years. Hope that with the right perspective, he could uncover the small joys woven into every day.